Hey everyone, Dan and Leslie back for another video. This time we are chatting about what it's like to quit our jobs, move across the country, and start over.
I'm gonna sum it up. It's a little scary.
If you're new to the channel, we are a family of four that decided to go all in on Disney World. So we own a travel agency, Fantastical Vacations, that specializes in Disney and Universal and cruise lines and some all-inclusives. And we wanted to be closer to the magic. Not only that, but we really love being here in Orlando. Like anytime we would go anywhere on vacation, it just didn't feel the same as when we came here to Orlando.
You hit the nail on the head with that. And it was, for a while we thought, well, maybe that's because that's the only place we are traveling. But then we started going other places and we realized that yes, we loved a vacation and we want to make that a priority in our lives. But the place that we just kind of take a deep breath and sigh and say, we're home, was always Florida.
Let's get into it.
All right, before that, if you're looking to plan your next magical vacation to Disney destinations, Universal, cruise lines, or all-inclusive resorts, we would love to help you out. Please go over to fantasticalvacations.com to learn more.
So there are three major things we want to talk about today. God, it's crazy. So Princess's name is Thea, by the way. Several of you have asked.
Yeah. I just washed my hair and I think she always thinks that I don't smell right or something. Like I don't smell like her anymore.
The first thing that we had to do was tell everybody that we were leaving. And so that involved telling our employers and our family and friends.
Back up a step, like we had to, we made the decision and then it was kind of like we wanted the boys' input. We've gotten asked that a lot before too, if we asked the kids. And while we didn't ask them like, do you want to do this? We did ask their thoughts on it and kind of gathered that.
I mean, fast forward, they were all in on it as well. So when we decided to announce it to everybody, the other thing that we were kind of worried about is that we knew that we needed a runway because not only were we going to quit and move, but we were starting completely over. And that meant like new ways to earn an income. So we started a travel agency, and this was kind of in the peak of COVID when we started this thing, focusing on Disney. And so we didn't really know what the future held for that. So we knew we needed a pretty long runway just in case it took a long time to be able to sustain life on a travel agency owner's income in the middle of a pandemic.
Right, we didn't really know what was gonna happen with the pandemic either and when travel was coming back. Like it felt like at the time we launched that it was starting to return a little bit, but who knew when another, strain would come along or something else would happen that would cause us to kind of take a step back.
Still could. I mean, honestly, all that to say that we told our jobs probably well before we needed to, but we were going to go on this journey with all of you. So we wanted to share this with everybody. We were telling our friends and family to prepare because 14 months later we were planning on moving, and so but we needed that runway with income, and so we basically told our jobs that hey, in 14 months we're leaving, which actually worked out pretty well for us.
But that I would say is probably one of the first scariest pieces, right? Because our jobs could legitimately have been like bye. I mean, and thankfully we had two very fantastic employers that were very supportive of our dreams and kind of helping us get there and being along for the ride too. So
now I'm not sure if we were going to get W-2 jobs also, and we weren't sharing everything on social media about the journey, moving to Orlando, all of that. I'm not sure we would have told them 14 months in advance, but it just worked out that way, and it worked out well for us, and it allowed us to be full-on transparent, and it allowed us both to help our employers hire our replacements and figure out that transition period.
The next kind of piece is we told our family and friends, and that was kind of the next hard part because we had both, you had moved to Oklahoma kind of middle school age. I had grown up there, like I moved there whenever I was a year and a half, and my whole family was there. And then your parents had just recently moved back within the last few years, and so it was kind of hard to be like, we're not going to be able to see you anytime we want anymore. Yeah. And it's going to have to be a little bit more intentional. But all of them, our family and friends, were kind of like,
Nobody's surprised.
It's about time.
What's interesting about this, and what I kind of keep going back to whenever we talk and we share our story with other people, it's like we had never intentionally chosen to live anywhere. So my family moved me to Oklahoma, your family moved you to Oklahoma. We both went to high school and then college in Oklahoma, and we just kind of just stayed because that's where life was. And so we had never like really sat down and intentionally chosen to live in a place because that's where we wanted to be. And this was the first time that we had ever done that. And it didn't surprise anybody, but I do think that they all were sad to see us go.
Yeah.
And not super excited to rush to that 14-month mark. So let's get to the move. So let's talk. So the actual logistics of the move, it's a pain because we moved ourselves in 2 different U-Haul. I mean, it was a lot. But that's not the hard part, right? The hard part is the actual like prep up for it and then the journey afterwards. So the move, we moved, I mentioned twice, so we got a 26-foot U-Haul. We packed up a little over half of all of our stuff. And this entire time, the entire 14 months, we're throwing stuff away, we're selling stuff, we're getting rid of things because we knew that we didn't need it all here. That was one of the big things, is we wanted to kind of downsize and keep it clean. And so we did that, and we went back to Oklahoma. A month later, we loaded up a 20-foot U-Haul, and we finished moving everything and got here.
And that whole process was interesting because, you know, whenever you're packing up for that first section of the move, you're thinking, what do I not need in the next like 3
For 4
months?
weeks, what am I not going to use? So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you know, you figure that we're not going to open up every single box as soon as we got here. So I was really like thinking like, what do I not need until like mid-January or later, you know? And
I mean, that's good. Like clothes,
Yeah.
cooking stuff, beds are a big factor in that. Like, it's just like every single thing you have in your house is like, okay, do I need this for the next 4 weeks, or can I go ahead and move it now? Because we knew we wanted a full 26-foot truck. I mean, it was full, floor to ceiling, side to side, all the way back to that door. It was full.
it was just, it was stressful.
It was stressful, and both pieces, I drove the U-Haul and Aiden drove with me, and then you guys came in cars. And so like you and Jennings drove in our 1 car. We only owned 1 car. Even that was kind of stressful because the U-Haul only goes so fast, and so a normal car ride from where we live to Orlando is over 18 hours. So add on the slowness of a U-Haul, and it took over 20 hours, and just like riding and anyway, it was an ordeal.
And then on that second move, we had to take into consideration that we had a 100-pound Great Dane and a 10-pound cat that you guys see on a regular basis that were going to drive with us for that long period of time, which neither of them had ever been in the car for that long. So we weren't really sure how they would do. We knew we couldn't push through and do the entire drive, like the 20 hours in one go. So we knew we had to stop somewhere. But where would accept a 100-pound dog and a cat?
So that was the move. Once we made it here,
well.
They did well. They ended up doing well. Once we made it here, you know, we unpacked and did the whole moving thing. So what is it like to completely start over with everything? Like, I mean, 1,100 miles away, that's where our family, our friends, our jobs, everything, we left everything to start over here.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, so it's not easy. Like, I am a pretty social person, so that definitely helps. We moved in December of 2021, so things were starting to like really be opened back up, so we could kind of explore a little bit more and get involved with groups and whatnot. But I tell you, if you're moving to someplace where you have a shared passion with other people, it does make it easier, because coming here, and there's so many people that move here for the theme parks, for Disney and Universal, that it's almost like you have this kindred spirit with other people.
You got to find some commonality with whoever, like whatever the population is that you want to hang out with, because you got to make friends. And so for us, it was a combination of kind of diving into the new travel agency business. We knew that we were going to be in the parks all the time. I mean, we would have been anyway, but we're going to be in the parks all the time, creating dining reviews and videos about touring and all of that stuff to be able to promote that new travel agency business. We knew that we were going to be able to see a lot of people here that didn't even live here because we just know a lot of people between agents that work with Fantastical Vacations and then also clients that come into town and friends. Everybody travels to Orlando at some point in their life. And so we knew that we were going to be able to see people all the time. And actually, we're way more social now than we have ever been in our lives before. But then, how do you kind of restart that friend group over? And that's been probably the most challenging thing, like with friends that are local and consistently. And the boys had a little bit of a not rough time, but slow start getting friends here.
Fast forward to, we've been here for a year and a half now, I mean, officially. And we have some really solid friend groups here. We, the boys, both have groups of friends here where they're finally getting to the point with friends that they want to invite people over, which is nice to see. You know, that transition where, yeah, they're friends at school, but now they actually want to have people over or go out with them and whatnot. So it's becoming kind of that longer lasting, I feel like, friend group.
COVID was, I mean, just made a big difference in how kids interacted for a long time. I mean, everything went from, and it was trending that way anyway, but it like had to all go online. It had to all go digital. And I think that became a crutch for at least our kids a little bit because they could still like hang out with their friends back home, back in Oklahoma online, like they did through the entire COVID experience anyway. And so they could do that from Orlando. It was super easy. So I think that's probably what maybe helped to delay that stuff. But yeah, I think like we weren't super worried about us, like how we were gonna do with being social and finding new friends and everything, but we were a little bit more concerned about them. We didn't want to do anything to them to completely ruin their childhood or anything like that. We didn't want them to grow up and be like, man, I wish my parents never moved me to Orlando.
They both still, we ask them kind of on a regular basis, like, how are you feeling still about living here and moving here, and do you wish that we were still in Oklahoma? And they are always so happy about being here. I mean, just for a lot of the same reasons that we are. I will say that I think we probably enjoy going to the theme parks maybe a little bit more than they do. But I think that's probably because when we go, we don't always necessarily ride rides. Like, we go for the ambiance and the people watching, and you know, that's kind of like that's a different level of experience than I think just most kids can appreciate. So
I think that's probably the biggest piece of starting over. But outside of the whole social, community aspect of things, it is so exciting to start over because literally, like, I woke up the morning after we moved, and it was like, holy cow, everything's new. Like, just figuring out where to get gas or get coffee or whatever. Like, everything from, we didn't have dentists or doctors or any, like, nothing. Like, any of the things that you always go to, all those routines, where to get groceries, all of that stuff, all of it's new. So it's kind of exciting, right? Like, just like starting over, especially if you're being intentional about it and you're going to some place because you love that place, figuring out how to fit in and then get all of those new routines, I mean, to me, is exciting.
It is, and just finding like new things to discover all the time, you know, trying new places to eat that we haven't been to 50 million times because we grew up going there and whatnot, you know. I mean, it's just, all of it has been super exciting.
All that to say, fast forward, and we've been here a year and a half. We absolutely love it. There were challenges and struggles, just like with anything, but the end result so far is that we are so happy that we made the choice to move here. And I think the end result, or the end thing that we want to pass on, is that really, if you want to move to a place, whether that's Orlando or anything, and you want to be intentional about where you choose to live and where you choose to build your community and build your life, like, follow your dreams. And I know that's easy to say, hard to do a lot of the time, because everyone does have family or family or friends, social circles that are keeping them jobs. I mean, it's not exactly easy to just quit your job and get a new job wherever you think you might want to go. But there is a way to do it, I think, in most situations. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like we did, like, not everything was upside. But if you know that it's a change that you want to make and you know it's going to better you and your family, then I think it's something that you have to do, or at least have to consider and see if it is possible.
Yeah, and I would add on to that to not just assume that your kids are going to be against a move or a big change like that, because it was scary whenever we first started talking to the kids about it. And like Dan said, we didn't want to do anything that would just ruin their childhoods, but we knew we had such a passion about this and we didn't want to wait another, would have been like 10 years
till the kids got
out of school, or 8 years or so, I guess, until they got out of the house. But
well, and sorry to interrupt you, but if we had waited, we were actually worried that they would just stay in Oklahoma, like not being intentional about where they wanted to stay, and then we would move, and then we would be away from them. And so sorry.
Yeah, no, and I don't, actually, it's funny, like I don't expect that they will stay here forever, and I really encourage them to be intentional about where they live, and it could be across the country from us, but we didn't want just staying in the place that they've always been to be what their pattern was too, and for them to be 40 years old before they figured out exactly where they wanted to be.
And then we're all still in Oklahoma.
All right, so there you have it. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from today, and I know we've said it before and we will say it again and we'll keep saying it, is that, follow your dreams and be intentional with your life, because ultimately that is where the greatest happiness is going to fall. If you are liking these videos, please hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.
And we will see you on the next video.